Hi, I'm Guy.
Hi, I'm Troy.
I am Chelsea.
I'm Emily.
And this is Geek Tank Live. And we're really live
quarantine.
This is
You're not centered, Guy. You need to move over more. Re-angle your camera.
I can't
Your
re-angle
microphone's like right in the way.
camera. Re-angle your mom.
Your mom.
There we go. So now the problem, of course, is that I look here to see you guys and I look here to see you.
It's a cameo by my son back there.
Sunny-o.
Yeah.
The top of your son's head.
Okay, so we've got a great show for you guys tonight.
Lies.
We have
You still have the.
Okay, so we started with kablam kablam, and now we've got real serious kablam going on. I don't know what to do.
What exploded?
I don't know.
What did
That
you do?
sounded like a cannon going off.
Oh,
It's fireworks.
Okay. So today we're going to have we're going to talk about questions and discuss interesting things, and we're looking for fan interaction. Because we are looking for fan interaction, I want everybody to please put "don't post this" or something to remind me that I'm not supposed to throw it up on the screen. Because I will randomly put things up on the screen like this, because I know that actually Brent is okay with me putting things on the screen. Like this.
Here's your fan interaction for you.
I have one of those too, but it's not there.
oh, please
It's my
hold. Your
biggest
phone
fan.
interaction does not even compare to mine. Okay.
Okay.
Please hold.
Well, we knew you had better fans than that, Chelsea.
Puppy.
I have the fan. I have one of these.
Oh,
Yeah!
Wow.
That was an awesome sound it made. Too. Yeah!
It's from Clack That Fan, and I love it so much. It says thirsty because I need water.
You don't.
yeah, water.
It's okay, Chelsea. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's fine.
That's the ultimate fan, though. You listen to that.
That's true. That noise is awesome.
I love it so much.
So
Party time!
It's already time.
Puppy time!
puppies.
Puppy that I have not met in person yet because we're all stuck inside.
You're not bitter.
Hmm.
I'm not bitter that I haven't met my nephew. No, not bitter at all.
No.
Do you want a baby tooth? Would that make you feel better if you had one of his baby teeth? Because I'm saving all the ones I find.
So I noticed that we started out with 5 viewers and now we're down to Brent.
Everyone ran.
They all bailed.
Emily's back.
Puppy.
Cheese it.
Like five.
That was awesome, actually.
I can die.
Oh, okay. Our show for the day.
Yep. So I was going to ask you, anybody have any news they want to cover before we jump into the questions?
Everything's so awful.
Is it really though?
Is it really? Is it?
When you look at the travel implications right now, everything's pretty awful.
Supposed to always look on the bright side of life, though.
It's just terrible. I managed to train Odie how to use a doorbell so he could be let outside. That's
Wow.
my news.
That's cool.
Yay,
That's
puppy.
definitely a positive. Okay, so let's see here. I had something I saw earlier today on Reddit that I thought it was cool.
I mean, all of Reddit's pretty cool.
Yep. So Spaceflight Now is saying that the scientists are pretty optimistic that the planetary probes that are supposed to launch this week or this year will not face a coronavirus launch delay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a plus.
I did see that the launch that's coming up from Florida, the first launch on U.S. soil in a while, they're actually asking people to not come and watch.
Yes.
And they're locking that down. Because I had a friend who was going to go watch it, but no, he is not going to drive across the country.
And speaking of SpaceX, on that same note, they just had a pressurization test, and it's number 4 of their pressurization tests. If you've been following SpaceX, they've been pressurizing their Starship, and it keeps exploding and rupturing on the pad. They pressurize it with fuel, and it ruptures. And this is the 4th one, and it stayed. It held. Which every time they do this, that was, of course, the total intention of doing these pressurization tests to see if they could get it to hold and not come apart. And it didn't come apart. What I thought was particularly humorous was somewhere along the line, they've got a new design on the Falcon Heavy and the Falcon 9 rocket stuff. And they're not 100% sure that the next launch with it will return they're sure that they're going to get the payload to orbit. They don't have a problem with that. They're not sure about its return. Somebody had asked Elon Musk, what do you think what do you think is going to happen to this rocket? And he said there's about a 60% chance of an RUD, which was the infamous rapid unscheduled disassembly that he refers to, which means that it will blow up.
That's
it's not on ascent, it's on descent, so at least the payload will make it to orbit, but one's not 100% sure. It's gonna.
I feel bad for SpaceX compared to NASA, because NASA's like so pinpoint now that they can land the rockets like on a platform in the middle of the ocean compared to
SpaceX.
Just drop.
That's SpaceX? Yeah, SpaceX is the one landing the rocket in the ocean.
Gotcha.
NASA hasn't gotten there yet. NASA keeps throwing the bottom stages into the ocean and just leaving them. But every iteration of their Falcon 9 booster, which is the one that can land on the ship in the ocean or land back at Cape Canaveral, every iteration of that gets more advanced. Okay. They're trying to get to the point where they can have up to 100 relaunches per bottom stage.
That's
their goal, because then it would bring payload down to something like $50,000 for 100 kilos, which means launching me or launching Chelsea would only cost $50,000. Because not me, because I'm not 100.
I'm not likely to go into space. My dad's more likely to go into space than I am. He actually wanted to be an astronaut, but he has really bad vision, so he couldn't be when the space program was young.
Yeah, this is like why we don't send Kevin up into space, because Kevin, of course, gets car sick, so all he do is just throw up the entire time.
Speaking of throwing up.
Oh, good segue. We started off so well.
My cat, which like all cats who throw up often, did something for the first time yesterday that I hope he never ever does again. As he started to throw up, he decided to make a run for it like he was trying to outrun throwing up. So he left a trail like 30 feet across from one side of the house to the other side of the house and was like, thanks. You could have stayed in one spot and made it easy. You can't outrun being sick. So
maybe if I run fast.
I feel your pain on that one, though. Because we have a puppy with a very full, small bladder, and he just kind of sprinkles.
He piddles
as he walks to the door.
Oh no!
He just piddles puddle party.
Everything is just wet. It's fine.
It's fine. I mean, that carpet
the
is
life
already
we're used to
be replaced anyway, right?
We're fine.
Yeah.
I know if I put my screen over on this side, I'm actually looking in the correct places where you guys are on the squares.
If I put you guys over here, then I have a problem.
Oops. But I need to move this around so Facebook is over here. So if I need to answer any questions, I can do that.
Oh, we've got news from Brent. There we go.
Huh.
Hamburger Hut has Fruit Loop shakes.
In my life. I don't think that's a place I've been to.
I can't really recommend them, but that's just my personal taste.
Is it worse than Hamburger Stand?
Oh, you know
Hamburger
what?
Stand's awesome if you've got the stomach for it.
Yeah, because the Hamburger Stand, the last time I went through so much stomach pain, it's not even funny.
I actually have never been to Hut. Now that you say that, it's Hamburger Stand's the one I was thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, I when I was in my late teens, hamburger stand was a staple because you could get
Cheap food.
you could get 10
Ooh.
hamburgers for $10.
Cheap food and
That's a lot of hamburgers.
cheap shakes.
And when you're a teenage boy, you just mow through food like that. And so 10 hamburgers
all about being a
good.
teenage boy.
Yep.
All right, so I'm gonna.
When I was a teenage boy, like Emily's dog.
I do have a question for Emily, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Would you recommend getting a quarantine puppy? After all you have suffered.
I like
Would I
He
recommend
looks at
it? I don't know.
he looks at you like, would you? That was
Only
great.
if you get an exact clone of this dog because he's wicked smart, but actually maybe don't because he has allergies. So I've been up every 2 hours every night, letting him out while we switch over to the new food.
Oh, no. What's he allergic to?
Probably chicken.
Oh.
Oh, no.
In my head, it's like allergies to tree pollen, so he was sneezing all the time. I like my version better. I like my version a whole lot better.
It's every 2 hours to get up for the urgent outside
Watch where you point that.
needing to go.
Poor nephew.
But other than that, I mean,
rating is
I
already
know a
gone.
lot of people are getting quarantine puppies because it's a great time to be able to take the time to train them. The downside is he's not socialized.
I think
Like-
he means
He's
lamb.
gonna freak out when I get there. I'm not kidding.
I'm pretty sure he means lamb,
Yeah,
not
because
lamp. Lamp is the moth. Lamb? Did you say lamb?
lamps is their
Lamp meat.
light in calories.
That's true.
Have you tried any
Yeah.
like make your own dog food recipes yet? Like out of human foods?
That's
Out of humans.
the most human food he gets is rice and boiled meat of some variety. It's been chicken we've been giving him, but we're not going to give him chicken anymore. His food right now is turkey and fish, and it's working, sort of. But he just, otherwise, he's a great dog. It's been a fun way to hang out and do quarantine. Keeps me busy. He's been a delight and will continue to be a delight, but only get a quarantine puppy if you're going to be stuck inside for a really long time and don't mind having a less than perfectly socialized dog. And I don't know. He's met the neighbor kids today and spent a good 5 minutes barking at them. And he's terrified of other dogs.
That's good because
So-
the neighbor kids are annoying and they always play when I'm trying to park and I'm like, I don't want to hit you.
But I will.
They're
But
children. They don't understand that cars are dangerous. You need to teach them a lesson.
Some adults don't know that. Hey, speaking of cars and children, I saw that I think it was Georgia is not going to require kids to take a driver's test, an actual driver's test now for their license.
Oh no.
That's terrible.
Just the written part, which Guy and I know the written part is so thorough and very well covers everything. Which
Well,
not.
okay, that's fair.
Yeah, that's not going to end well.
Georgia has been extremely ignorant during this
Well,
time.
They're doing the businesses need to make money.
Yeah.
Businesses need to make money, so let's if it kills off a few people, that's
Was it 2 weeks ago when the governor of Georgia announced that he now knew that like coronavirus was spread through droplets and touch and he had no idea before?
Yep.
Where do you live? Under a rock?
No, Georgia.
Georgia. Hey. You stop
We're just
dropping
saying.
the ball.
Pete's Pit, I'm guessing.
For some reason Troy is blurry. Have you ever noticed that?
It's because he's moving so fast.
He's just vibrating.
I do that for everyone's pleasure.
Wow.
I do that. High five.
You refocus your camera there? Try refocusing with your face, not your hand.
Ah.
There we go.
There you go.
That works.
Emily's a pro. She got this.
Yeah. Is your face hurting you because it's killing me? Right.
So let's go back to the SpaceX thing because that actually leads me to my first question I thought of for our fun night of questions. and that is how would faster than light flight, faster than light travel change things for everyone? Or would it not really have an effect for everyone? It's only going to have an effect for NASA.
I mean, the pilots are definitely going to have some interesting stories. Am I right?
Well, we'd find out with the whole thing about people aging slower when they travel faster than light's true or not.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Are we putting an engine on the planet that's a light speed engine to just launch the planet somewhere? Or is it like just yeet ourselves out of the solar system? Or is this like I could yeet myself from my house to my job and not have to commute? Because I quite like driving, but my husband would love to just be able to be like at work.
Well, I think we run into that problem we saw with the last, what was it, one of the last 3 Star Wars films. If we were to stick you at light speed across town, you would like hit a building and explode the whole city.
I'm also okay with that, honestly.
We'll call you Captain Hodor or whatever.
Hodor.
Holdo. It'll be a Holdo maneuver.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I guess if you, first of all, I guess, it should be, I'm trying to figure out whether you're going to do science fiction speed or science fiction version light speed. Because if you're talking about real faster than light, we don't know what would happen. I mean, E equals MC squared stops at that point in time.
Like, we don't even know theoretically what would happen? Because we've broken the sound barrier with planes.
You could probably use like derivatives and antiderivatives to figure out at least positional awareness, and suddenly calculus just came in handy. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
I need a minute here.
So the sound barrier was an engineering problem. With the speed of sound, what had happened was anything that was outside of the shock cone of the airplane was ripped off. And so the reason we couldn't break the sound barrier was because nobody knew that, because all they got was flaming wreckage every time they took a plane above the sound barrier. And so it took them a while. And actually, we were just reading about this. It took the computers of Langley, the infamous Hidden Figures, who figured out that it was the shock cone. And what had happened was the wings then were brought inside the shock cone with the Bell X1. And then they could break it. But that wasn't a limitation of space-time. The problem with light speed is every time you double your speed, you have time. Right? That's what the square is in E equals MC squared. So, as we get half the distance to the speed of light, then our time gets halved and our mass gets doubled.
So you get real fat.
So by the time you hit the speed of light, you are infinitely heavy, so your rockets can't push anymore, and you are at infinite time. Now, the reason that people think that you can, I'll put that up there. The reason we think that you can go faster than the speed of light is just that light is not infinitely heavy. We're not getting killed by turning on a light bulb. So something is happening at light speed, right? There is something going on. So that's one of the reasons why scientists haven't given up on faster than light speed.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason you can't break light speed is by doing it the traditional way, which is just accelerating until you go faster than the speed of light, is because everything halves and then doubles. So your time halves and your mass doubles.
So then let's use the science fiction version and say we actually develop a way to make a vehicle that can go.
Yeah. And then,
since space is so big, are we really going to find anything out there that's useful?
I would hope so. I mean, they keep finding planets that look Earth-like, right? So maybe they could use that to go study those planets or send satellites to study those planets further, because by the time we're seeing those planets and photos, those planets could be dead because they're forever far away.
Right.
We talk about travel a lot, and what I love in particular about science fiction, particularly the Mass Effect series, which I've been playing religiously since we got on quarantine, is they have these giant slingshotters that basically slingshot you around faster than light to get to other places, which I just think is super fun because you just run from slingshot to slingshot.
So Mariah says, I seem to like her comments. It's almost like I don't know, I should marry her.
Bias, maybe?
I'm
Can't
kind of
have biased podcasters.
Emily, what were you saying about calculus? You were saying a calculus formula.
No, it's
It's like I
calculus is
forgot
really
by
useful. No, it's not long forgotten. It's antiderivatives and using functions for rectilinear motion to find where a particle is along a line or a curve. And then you use a position function to find where it's moving, usually like forward, but you can use the antiderivatives as well. If you've got velocity and you've got acceleration, you can find where the position is as a function of time. So like
except
2 seconds after something goes, you can figure out where it is.
Once it's subatomic, you have the Heisenberg problem, and then poof, gone.
Yeah. Calculus is honestly just the surface of this, and it's suddenly applicable that I learned something that was like, oh, this applies to this conversation. Look at that.
Yay!
And nothing else is ever going to do that again. Finals week is next week, though.
You're like, I am all about the finals week. Yes.
It means I get to get into the computer stuff now. I'm really excited to program some things.
Oh yeah, you're finally done with like all the little prereqs.
Yeah.
Yay!
And to get to the one level deeper, that's actually one of the reasons also why light speed travel might be possible. Because, as you were just saying, you can use a derivative to come up with that information, except at the subatomic level where you have the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which then gives you the problem of being able to identify a particle in its location, which means that that actually is one of the reasons why they think faster than light travel could occur, if you can somehow find a way around it through the subatomic pathway.
So since it's so like violent towards the outsides of a ship, it should also point out that like
I think that's aimed at Emily, by the way.
Yeah, how do I can I reply elsewhere? I don't know. Java and C.
You have to go out and reply out on Facebook.
Or I can type it for you and give me the answer.
Or you could just say
Java and C.
Java and C.
Java, C, probably SQL, maybe Ruby because it's being more and more applicable, and probably Python. It just depends.
Python.
It's kind of basic level of early stuff. It's programming 1. There we go.
Programming 1.
I found where I can reply. Aha.
So we've established the ground rules of this theory, and that is that probably all of the problems that cause Einsteinian E equals mc squared would be supplemented.
Well,
e.g., the Alcubierre drive, which keeps a real space bubble inside so that only the Einsteinian effects affect the outside of the bubble, which is the Alcubierre warp drive. This is a Mexican astrophysicist who came up with this theory. And effectively what it is it encases the ship in a bubble of real space, of real time, and then warps he's a Trekkie. So as you can see that this is exactly what happened. Warps space around it. The thing that's great about the Alcubierre drive is that scientists are like, no, well, I don't know, that might.
Like,
They started out going, ha, 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 look at the silly Trekkie. Wait, his math is starting to work.
So if time is like warping around, if time and space are warping around the outside of a ship, it would be pretty hard to shelter the inside as well. Like we are able to shuffle off some G-force off of our astronauts, but if all this like turbulence is hitting and all this weight is hitting, I wonder how much that would apply to the astronauts inside the vehicle. Because I know they've diminished it, but you still get like 10 Gs launching into space, which is semi-bad for you.
Yes. So
this would be infinitely more bad for you.
And we are totally digressing. Sorry, Troy. It would be. I think the concept behind it is very much like the donkey carrot engine that somebody came up with, where you throw a black hole in front of the ship, so then the ship falls towards the black hole, and then since the ship is projecting the black hole moves with the ship, so the ship is eternally falling towards the black hole. So because of that, save gravity shear, you would always be in free fall on the ship.
So you're just falling.
You're always falling.
What happens when you come to a halt?
You turn off the black hole.
Turn off the black hole.
You're just in free fall.
Just turn it off. Just turn off that black hole.
Well, this presumes you have gravity control of some sort.
Sure.
Yes. But
it's just something I have to ask, because if you have all this force on the outside, what happens on the inside? Does the human go squish?
No, because it's not like Star Trek. The ship, once you turn off the black hole, you're just cruising at that speed, whatever that speed is, because there's nothing to stop you. There's nothing acting upon your ship to slow you down.
Okay.
We slow down, like if you let off the gas of a car or like pop the car in neutral and just coast, you'll ultimately slow to a stop. But you slow to a stop not because of that's the nature of things. You slow to the stop because you're moving through a liquid, air, and there's friction on the wheels to the wheel bearings, and so it'll ultimately coast to a stop because there's just friction against the vehicle. In space, there's nothing. There's nothing to stop the vehicle, so there's no reason to stop. You just turn off the black hole, and that would stop the acceleration.
Keep going.
And when you want to stop, you just throw the black hole behind you.
There's actually a couple of fun video games where they use space physics. So when you hit the thruster, you're going the direction you were facing when you hit the thruster. You turn the thruster off and you spin, you're just going to spin, but you're continually going the same direction that you did the thruster. And there's also a tabletop game, I think of all things, it actually is called like Thrust or something like that, that incorporates those same mechanics. So it's a tabletop spaceship battle game where when you use your thrusters, you're going to go the direction you're facing. And if you want to stop, you have to turn 180 and then fire your thrusters the other direction.
Do they use that with like the shooting figures as well? Because you see all this stuff, and Mass Effect brings it up that you need to verify your target before you shoot, because Sir Isaac Newton is the deadliest mother effer in space. Because once you shoot something, it's never going to stop until it hits something. That's terrifying.
It is, but real quickly, I want to address Brent's comment, which I put up on the screen there. Yes, they've slowed light waves down to 38 miles an hour. That's the slowest they've ever gotten light to at this
38 miles an hour?
Yep.
Wow. Jesus.
So.
That's incredible.
So.
That's actually incredible.
To answer your question, yes, it is likely that will happen. However, space, to quote Douglas Adams, space is big, really big. You wouldn't imagine how big space really is. We fired off 2 probes, and Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, they are going ungodly fast right now, 300,000 miles per second. And they will reach Voyager 1 will reach the next star in 400,000 years, and Voyager 2 will reach the next star in 250,000 years. So space is big. Hitting something is really hard. It's kind of like saying get in a rowboat, row across the ocean, and hope you don't hit one of those ocean liners out there.
Good job, buddy. Good job. You rang the bell.
You belling?
So.
You ring the doorbell. He's got to go outside. He got to go potty.
When he rings the bell, does he make himself salivate?
Sweet.
No, it's not a Pavlovian response.
Not yet.
It's just a bell he rings because it's a good way to communicate with us that he's got to go potty.
Shot Cone needs to be the name of a band.
They actually have only found tachyons, so the answer is nobody knows how to use them yet. That's a subatomic particle. So we don't know. I mean, we know how to. That's back to our grab and smash physics. I love science right now. Science is all about break it and then look at all the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we know what's inside an atom? We smashed another atom into it and broke it into little pieces. And then went,
That's so rude. That poor atom was just living its life.
it was. Then it
I
stopped.
thought you weren't supposed to split atoms. 'Cause
Yeah,
then
they get all unhappy when you do that.
Oh, you want to move on to my next question?
Yes, move on to your next question.
Can we?
Okay. Well, I have another science question, but we'll save that to last, so that way we break it up. This one's more in the realm of comic book physics, or not physics so much, but comic book morality. If Wonder Woman's lasso actually existed and could function as a 100% foolproof way of getting someone to tell the truth, would that be violating someone's civil rights if you used it, like in a court of law, to make someone?
Absolutely, especially because it's my boyfriend's gonna be a lawyer. It is absolutely the burden that the prosecution prove without a doubt, beyond a doubt, that the defendant is guilty of certain things. Now, courts get weird because sometimes what happens is, let's take the Vic Mignogna case, okay? Just because we've talked about it before. So Vic filed a suit and he sued everyone, okay? So he sued Funimation, he sued specific people, and then, you know, he sued everyone to get all of those people in the courtroom. Some of those people settled. Some of those people were eliminated very quickly. And that was just a damage control kind of maneuver. That's very typical from what I've been told by a law school student and another lawyer. So it's very typical for them to just maximize their outreach, and then it goes down from there. And then there are different pieces, right? So the Vic Mignogna case, like, a bunch of people were eliminated, and then Monica Rial was eliminated, and then it was just the two people and Funimation, and then Funimation finally got eliminated, and then it was down to the last two, and then it was down to very specific charges. When you get jury instructions, they are exceedingly specific, and they are about the testimony you've seen. And a lot of the reason that you get hearsay testimony, or you get a person talking on the stand, is because there is an emotional aspect to that, and there is a trust aspect to that. Like, do you as a person looking at this other person trust this person? If they had just like a magical lasso, things would be very easy to sort out, because
without a doubt, if we've proven that this can that there's no way that anybody has a 100% success rate, wouldn't that seem like the law? The reason we don't have this part of the law now is because lie detectors don't have a 100% success rate. They are extremely reliable, but they can be defeated.
Yeah.
Because if that percentage chance, they can't be admissible in court. If this would be saying, what if lie detectors were never, ever had the possibility to be beaten, that no one's ever beaten one?
Then there wouldn't be court cases at that point.
Yeah.
But you do have to ask very specific questions. Like, there are ways to get around that truth. You know what I mean? If you don't ask very direct questions, which is why lawyers specialize in what they do, because they're asking very minute, particular questions. There's a big part of like the Fifth Amendment where you don't have to say anything in court. You don't have to perjure yourself, right? You don't have to sit on the stand as a defendant at all. I think having a lasso of truth kind of defeats that, because in it's very much like DNA evidence, right? Then everybody's going to want that lasso on the stand, right? Everybody wants DNA evidence, but the problem with DNA evidence is if you sit in a court, it sucks to listen to the exact science behind DNA evidence. There are no 100% matches, y'all. It gets complicated, okay? But everybody, because of CSI, wants DNA evidence. When a lot of
CSI has changed everything. CSI has ultimately. Did you hear like season 2 of CSI won a Nebula Award?
Did it really? Why? Why?
Excellent sci-fi.
Interesting.
But I mean, the point here is, of course, that's the thing.
Well,
everybody thinks that But I've got a theory on CSI, but I wanted to kind of weigh in a little on this one too. So if you had a lasso of truth, and I think that we're talking about just the top level. We've got a lasso of truth.
Well, let's say Wonder Woman really existed, because you never see this addressed in the comic that I've seen. If she really existed and we knew she could do anything, for example, when we had the impeachment, that's at the top level. If it's like, you can prove that you're innocent by just having this person come in, and they will without a doubt be able to show that you're innocent.
But my thing is that, if you put a lasso of truth around me and then said, have you ever done anything illegal? I'd end up being compelled to say yes, because a long time ago, when I was a kid, we were going to start businesses, and the guy that was helping us with a business said, just accept the fact that you're going to break a law, because there are laws that say it's illegal to do it, and there are laws that say it's illegal not to do it. So I am of the opinion that I'm probably breaking a law right now and don't know it. And I know that fundamentally, because even though I try never to break laws, so if you were just to wrap a lasso of truth around me and go, have you ever broken a law? I'd go, yes.
Well, then obviously they'd say, what law did you break? And you'd say, I don't know. And
I don't know.
You would say this whole story that you just said now.
Right.
Because it obviously wouldn't be yes and no questions, because you could semantic that into the ground. It would be, well, what did you do? Did you shoot that guy? Yes or no? And that's so. It couldn't be so vague.
It's very complicated, right? Because the law is always changing. So, for instance, we made a law that when you're 18, you're an adult. By no means is every 18-year-old a mature, responsible adult.
I'm not looking in the mirror.
Everyone is different. So we made an age of consent and we made an age of, when you're an adult, right? But things like rape, things like assault happen. And because our court system is so complicated, this is why it exists.
That's not a good bumper sticker, by the way. I wouldn't put that on a bumper sticker.
No, I wouldn't either. But because the lines are so blurred and because everyone's different, this is why we have court systems, to try and suss out what is actually true, what we feel to be true, and then go from there.
Right.
I think maybe having a lasso of truth when you have repeat offenders or people who buckle under nerves, because being in a courtroom is terrifying, even as a juror. I've been a juror 3 times. It's not fun.
I have never had jury duty. I've never had it. I want to go on jury duty. And
I must have gotten all your jury duty.
I don't know what the story is. I don't know why they don't pick me randomly.
Every time.
I would trade places with you. I just want to go in there and see what it's like.
It's very interesting. It is very.
I'm sure that after the first time, I'll be like, I never want to do this again, but I don't know for a fact because I've never done it.
It's tough. It is. And I got 2 assaults on women, which sucks, and a robbery that was settled. So.
Yeah, there's that.
I've had jury duty once. The second time I got out because my wife was pregnant. And it's like, I might have to leave to go attend to a birth. And so, you're excused. You go away.
What about you, Em? Have you sat on jury yet?
I have not. I don't want to jinx myself any further.
Knock on wood.
That'd be the dog's head.
Having a lasso of truth would make things very complicated.
Yeah.
Just use it on the government.
Ha! Good luck with that.
Like, is this dictator actually dead? Lasso of truth around the entire government building.
Yep. Are there aliens?
No.
Which, yeah.
Did you hear that they released UFO footage this last?
After the guy from the band Third Eye Blind released the footage, they then followed it up by releasing footage.
That's actually remarkably wise there. Brent put, there are 3 truths: person 1's, person 2's, and what actually happened. And then Kai says, "Truth 4, what they want you to think."
There's a film about that that's really good. If you guys want to watch that, let me find that film really quickly.
Talking about the Japanese film?
Yeah, Mifune.
The
Mifune.
Pokemon, right? Or
No, it's a
Is it the
Kira
Pokemon
Kurosawa,
movie?
So
Pokemon movie's pretty good.
It's called Rashomon, and it's different. It's a story told from 3 different perspectives, and it's actually really freaking good.
it's one of the reasons why Kurosawa is a classic director.
But that's totally true, Brent. Like, everybody has their own bias and their own interpretation, and that's why we have a court system anyway. So maybe a lasso of truth would make things even like a little bit clearer, but maybe worse.
I haven't read enough Wonder Woman comics to know if they've ever actually went into that of having her put it on someone, and then from their perspective they're telling the truth, but maybe they're entirely wrong.
Yeah, they don't use it much in the movies.
Yeah, except on Chris Pine, who did a funny job during that.
Captain
Chris
Kirk.
And Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk got the lasso of truth put on him.
Yeah. I'm sad that we're all stuck in quarantine and that the second Wonder Woman is now delayed. Because I was really looking forward to Wonder Woman 1985.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. I couldn't tell whether you were going to be like, I didn't want to see it, and I'm like, oh,
No, I want to
see it so bad.
It's the best DC movie. Like, Aquaman was okay, but Wonder Woman was.
It's true.
Wonder Woman is
Wonder Woman is
awesome.
single-handedly saving the DC cinematic universe.
Which is great because it's a female superhero who's a badass.
Directed by a female as well.
The DC movie that surprised me was Shazam.
True. Shazam's helping. Shazam is helping Wonder Woman carry the cinematic universe.
It was really
I
good.
like the tail of the cinematic universe. Wonder Woman has the rest of it.
They used
watching Marvel movies, and maybe we should add a couple of DC movies while we're at it.
Definitely add Shazam to that one. It was
Shazam was
very
cute.
fun.
It's our quarantine.
And Mark
Family
Strong
time.
was in Shazam, and I was like, Mark Strong.
Is he
Yeah,
strong?
he's very strong from what I've seen. I don't know him personally, but he looks very. I'm gonna stop.
Here is this quote, which I think is about the way I feel too.
Yeah. Aquaman was a problem.
But Jason Momoa was awesome, and there's that.
I thought the bad guy was actually okay in that one. The human bad guy, not the Atlantean bad guys.
The Atlantean bad guy was so broody.
Although I kept missing Sebastian being with Ariel for that movie.
Always get there for copyrights.
I don't know if you guys have seen what's been going on with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Speaking of that, that's become very complicated.
Oh yeah, I don't know if we want to go into that.
I don't think there's any winners in that situation, and it's better to just talk about Jason Momoa's abs at that point.
Yeah,
which they're great.
I would leave the Johnny Depp conversation to another day. So my third thing, and we'll get back to CSI later if we finish this one. The other idea I had is if we were to actually be able to develop replicators that function as they actually function in Star Trek, how would that affect the economy?
Well, what can replicators make in Star Trek? Let's confirm. I've seen them make food.
It can make food. It can make clothing. We saw on Discovery, I believe, right? It can make ship parts, I think.
Yep.
Well, who controls the replicators?
There are a handful of parts that it can't make, and that's usually driven by plot.
That is
so, but
the alcohol is not as good as regular alcohol, according to McCoy, I think it was, or Scotty. That's it.
Emily just had a really good point.
Who controls the replicators? Because that's what's going to end up driving the rest of the economy. Is it all? Does big business have the replicators? Because then they're going to be continuing to make products that people can buy. But if if everybody has their own replicator, then what's the point? Because then there is no economy.
Right? This is the real. Here is the real truth right there.
James was like, "Who would buy my?"
It's coming from Karen Games. Who would buy tiny starships?
Can I tell you what I would do with a replicator?
Let's say someone that's crazy and completely wants to give it to everybody. Some mad scientist guy comes up with it, and everybody has access to one now.
So
I would literally make everything I ever wanted and then get bored and walk away.
so here is a radical thought. It would shift the worker base from industrial to artistic, because the worker base would suddenly be people like me, the creators, instead of those who flip switches and pull levers. The people who'd be valuable in society would be the ones who designed the things that the replicators made. So it would shift. It would shift from people who toil to the people who create or explore, and I know that you're all sitting there like, wow, this is amazing, except that of course this is the analysis that a bunch of Trekkies have made
For years, yeah.
for years. So I'm actually not coming up with this right now like some clever person. It was actually come up with by a bunch of Trekkies and has been for a long time.
So the replicator can't just make anything that's in your mind. It has to have it already pre-programmed and blueprinted.
Right.
Okay. So that does limit things specifically, right?
The programmers.
Well,
Yeah.
even if it was like connected to my mind, you tell somebody who isn't very creative to make a thing, and we've all learned this from iterations of creations here. The first generation of things are never pretty. The Model T is not as elegant as a Lamborghini. So you'll still need artists to take the object and hone it down and make it aesthetically pleasing. You'll always need an artist to do that. So, there's that.
Well, you'd also see an upshift in entertainments and arts, because you can't replicate performances.
Right? Now, Brent, is your Earl Grey tea, is it decaf?
Your Grey tea, he Goot.
Your Grey tea.
I am Groot.
Now, would you imagine if such a thing was invented as replicators? If let's focus on our country, since that's where we live. Would there be laws outlawing people owning replicators because of what they could be used for?
Possibly.
Right.
Or just those blueprints would be tagged and tracked.
It's
Also,
interesting that in Star Trek, canon-wise, you cannot create a cannon. Replicators won't make phasers.
Another thing too is you're going to lose a certain workforce, right? If replicators can make you whatever food or drink you want, that's
huge
programmed
workforce.
in.
Yeah.
Do you lose, there's an episode in Deep Space Nine that I just watched where Cisco actually cooks them dinner without the replicator because he wants to do that. It can replicate the food for him and then he can cook it, but it becomes one less thing to do, kind of a thing.
Yeah, you lose your farmers, you lose your
nostalgic in a way, right?
Yeah. Well, there's an
It's the
episode of
infamous line, I learned a long time ago, never eat another person's gumbo. Yep.
there's a episode of Next Gen 2 where Riker makes eggs and everybody hates him except for Worf.
Yep. Well, and that's something that Janeway did. She couldn't cook to save her life. She burned the turkey, everything like that. And Chakotay ultimately started cooking because Janeway just can't. Another one of those things that actually made Janeway very beloved to me, because I've known a number of people in my life that just can't.
There's
It's all right.
people who enjoy cooking and baking. Everybody right now in quarantine is making freaking sourdough bread.
Yeah.
Starters.
Oh, there's no yeast.
We use some.
Unless you've got that 4,500-year-old yeast that some archaeologists dug up and made sourdough bread with. I guess you could get some of that.
Chaotic as well.
It is
Very
weird
chaotic.
what we don't have, because we were having a problem getting vanilla.
It's
Which
cheaper
is-
to order it online, I found, Guy. If you're looking for pure vanilla,
It's extract.
yeah,
But-
vanilla extract. I a couple months ago, I was looking for some in the store, and the price was just ridiculous. And Tara found it cheaper on Amazon, by a lot.
Huh.
So I
We'll
don't.
give that a shot. We'll see whether that works.
I'll double check and see if it was Amazon. I think it was.
Brent's making beer, apparently, mead.
Hmm.
So that's why we don't have any yeast in the stores, because he's stolen all of it to make beer and yeast.
A big
Beer and
problem
meat.
that
Brent's
I
fault.
had along with like toilet paper was a lot of stores were out of tampons, which is real.
Oh man.
That's brutal.
It was like, really?
That's rough. Yeah, that's into the scary
And
zone.
people were taking baby wipes as well. A friend of mine had just had a newborn baby right before the stay-at-home order and was on Instagram lamenting that there were no baby wipes. And like he was like, I actually need them
Right.
for my child.
Mhm.
Stop it.
I just yesterday, in fact, I installed a new toilet up here, and I've been thinking about a bidet just because of all of this.
We've been thinking about buying stocks in bidets.
Because I mean, it's like that would. I loved them in Japan. They were really cool, and I think the reason they're not popular here is because nobody wants to talk about butts, and I think that's silly and ridiculous. And nobody wants to talk about going to the bathroom and pooping. So I think that's also silly and ridiculous.
You're the only person that ever poops, guy.
I am. Nobody
That's
else
true.
in this world poops.
You
Just-
and Odie.
well, yeah, and your cat pukes. So
Yeah.
Your cat puked. That's it. That's the only bodily functions that exist. The amount of talks I've had about poop in like the last month are
I know it's
gone through the roof,
that's
and I
one
don't
of
have a
those
baby
things
or
that
poop
once you get,
myself.
like,
I just have a
stuck
puppy.
Here. You're stuck here, and that's what happens. So
We're all talking about uncomfortable things. Oh my god.
My parental advice is when you do have kids, keep a supply of plastic bags in it from like King Supers. Keep like 10 or 20 of those in the back of your car wadded up, along with a couple of things of baby wipes, some paper towels, and some disinfectant spray. Because
You
at
just
some
don't
point,
feed them before you put them in the car,
Doesn't
and then you
matter,
strap
their
them
body
down and put them in their crate,
just
and it's
generates
fine.
it magically generates it.
Magically
And when
just
you- And then when you have
it beams in from
frozen-
somewhere else. I have no idea where, but it beams in from somewhere else. It's just now. I've been pretty lucky. My kid's got my ironclad stomach, which is kind of useful, but yeah, it wasn't always that way.
You guys should ask Tyler about his bidet trauma.
Badama.
was it set on stun?
It was too hot.
Oh,
Ow!
that's a bit of a
cold,
toasty
see,
tushy.
but too hot. That would be something I've never. I don't know.
Check your bidet.
Now we all know about
Hey.
Tyler's toasty tushy.
It was so funny. I was laughing. I was also upset because I was here and he was in Italy, but at least he singed his butthole.
Yeah, that's not good because the average temperature on Uranus is negative 224.
Ah!
Wow. I got
Someone
blurred
blood.
out.
Dude,
I'm
that
a
is
Uranus
some
jokes.
fast Googling.
Google specialist. Yeah, Google food.
That was some quick Googling.
And amazingly enough, it was the first thing that came up when I typed in Uranus and not a bunch of other things.
What would you make? Like, what's the one thing that you would create if you had a replicator?
More replicators.
Genie
like
says
asking
you
for my
can't
own
do
thing.
that.
Dang it.
It's the genie rule.
Stupid genie rule.
I'm
They'd have to all be smaller
noticing
replicators,
now
though.
Chelsea's blurry.
I don't know why.
Make a face like I did.
Put your face up
Because
against
you got
the
really close to the camera. Put your face up, move back slowly. Slowly move back. Perfect.
It's worse.
Absolutely perfect.
It's worse.
They're worse. That's
I
awesome.
don't see my sunburn as much.
You've been drinking too much, Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea, we're looking at you through drunk goggles now.
I mean,
Put your hand up to the camera this time, Boo. Up. Refocus. There you go. Move your hand. Not slowly.
Yeah.
Just take your hand out completely. No,
No,
never
Put
mind.
it up against it. And,
I can only do it once. I can only IT once
Yeah,
per
move it away,
show,
guys.
and
you know
then
what?
the magic's
You
gone.
know what? You
you're
know
just
what?
looking blurry.
Yeah. Hey,
Now
guy.
I'm an icon.
Trick question, guy.
Yep.
Oh, it's still bad.
Since there's actually currency used in certain species for Star Trek, did they ever explore replicators being used to recreate counterfeit money?
So one of the things that happened is that's actually something that they talk about in. I need to add Chelsea. I need she knocked herself out there. One of the things they talk about in Deep Space Nine is gold pressed latinum.
Yep.
That the latinum apparently cannot be replicated, and that's why. So like there was some deal that Quark was working on, and the kicker to it was they had withdrawn all the latinum and left just a whole bunch of gold bricks. He's like, what can I do with a whole bunch of gold bricks? This is worthless. Which of course was the humor in that particular episode because all the latinum had been pulled out.
I love the Quark episodes. They're really good. Every time he tries to get an edge.
By the way, this is totally what I would do. So I'd probably end up with one of Brent's starships because he's making more than one. So, I mean,
An entire starship, that would take a long time to replicate, I think.
You have to do a lot of assembling.
So there's a TOS old school reference there.
What is a Quatlu?
So there's an episode called Gamesters of Treskillian. And it's the infamous episode that had what was there? Lady Gaga. Except it wasn't Lady Gaga. It was Angelique Pettyjohn, who looks like Lady Gaga. So everybody's making all the Lady Gaga jokes right now. Anyway, in the end, they were bidding. There was these brains, and they were just bidding on who was going to win. And so Kirk defeats them by outbidding them, effectively.
Okay.
It's an okay episode. I like it a lot. It's not a bad episode. But yes, so Chris is making a reference to Gamesters of Triskelion.
Can replicators make living tissue?
So replicators can make tissue that will live, but they've never shown it to be able to make a person.
What about bugs?
Well, I don't think it's ever made bugs either. I know it's made mechanical bugs. It made exocops once.
So what if you needed a skin graft? It could make the human tissue for a skin graft.
That's exactly what they do.
What about kidneys?
Yep. They got pills for that.
Well, there you go. We need Star Trek pills. It's better.
Dr. McCoy was like, Dr. McCoy goes up to the lady and goes, "What's wrong with you?" And she goes, "Kidney dialysis." And he goes, "Dialysis? What is this? The Stone Ages? Take one of these and you'll be fine in the morning." And then later on we see her and she goes, "Doctor gave me a pill and I've grown a new kidney."
Where was that?
Would those kidneys then fail later, though, and be predisposed to the same issues that the original kidneys were predisposed to?
I am guessing that what Dr. McCoy gave her was something that says, whatever your DNA says, you're restored to that.
So if your DNA sucks, well,
you're screwed.
Oh, darn.
Because I think the problem we see with replicators, we've already seen with things like color photocopiers, 3D printer. Right. It's just going to be
goes down.
Because we already have an issue with people 3D printing guns.
Right.
So.
Yep.
It would definitely.
You were absolutely right from Star Trek.
It's human nature, right? Like, what's the first thing a 12-year-old boy would make?
A girl. Weird science.
Fireworks, firecrackers.
Yeah.
A BB gun.
Have a lot of faith in teenage
all
boys,
of us would do
Emily.
that. That was exactly the
That's
point.
what I'd do if I was the teenage boy with firecrackers.
Everybody has already said, what holodecks would be used for. And then done that look.
You already know.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons?
You got the first part right.
Dungeon.
I'm over here thinking man, I could really use more carpet cleaner, so that's probably what I would use a replicator for, is I just need more carpet cleaner.
You're going to need a lot of cleaner.
Well, a holodeck. That's what you'd be using the carpet cleaner for.
Well, would they put age limits on replicators then, do you think?
Well, I think that there would be limits by...
Why wouldn't you?
Holodeck.
So what's so interesting about Star Trek is that that's considered restricted technology.
Is it really?
So there's a certain number of things that you never give to a species that's not in the Federation.
Oh.
And so Your communicator has a specialized chip in it that could cause all kinds of, and this is actually brought up in an episode called A Piece of the Action, which was an original series episode.
Which is also
Does it take place on the holodeck?
No, didn't take place in the holodeck. They came to a planet that had been visited by a Federation ship 100 years prior, and they left behind a book called The Mobs of Chicago. And so when the Enterprise shows up, they're all mobs shooting at each other.
Oh, God.
Because they had mimicked everything in the book. And the last part of the episode, McCoy accidentally leaves his communicator down on the planet. And so the assumption is that in the next 100 years, the next ship that visits that planet is going to find a whole bunch of original series people running around. Original series Star Trek people. Because the component in the communicator is like the key component to tricorders and to phasers and everything short of warp technology. So
that's bad.
Yes, in the Casino, TNG did something very similar. They did it in a different way, though.
It's one of the cool things about Orville. They actually explore the idea of a holodeck being misused.
Hello, Erica. Welcome to the show.
Did they really?
And yes,
watch Orville.
Erica.
Orville's awesome.
I just got Hulu, so I will watch it.
Orville is the thing.
I've seen a couple episodes. I like the episodes with Isaac in particular.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
They get better, especially after that first episode. The first episode,
rough.
The first episode, he was trying to appeal to the Family Guy demographics, and clearly that's where he was headed. But after that, and everybody went, "Oh, okay, well, we'll accept your show." Then he was like, "Aha, good, yoink!" And then threw in.
You're all space nerds now.
The old bait and switch. Yeah, especially season 2 really gets into some serious old school classic Trek of disguising social problems with sci-fi.
It's the way that Star Trek really should be. That's not to say that Picard and Discovery are not. I'm just saying that it's really I say that to the people who are not happy with the episodes of Picard and Discovery, because they've gone the way of Deep Space Nine. Also wonderful. And very impactful, but they're talking about different social issues. If you want the episodic version of Star Trek, then you follow the Orville, and it's all good. It's all there. You've got everything you need. I loved it when Orville was running, because you would have, at that point in time, I had 2 Star Treks a week. It was a beautiful thing. I was happy as a clam.
People were saying a lot with the first season of Orville that it was more like Star Trek than Star Trek was, which I still find very funny.
Yeah, it's not. It's just more like TNG than Discovery. Gotcha. And that's what they're saying, because Discovery is more like Deep Space Nine. And people just don't remember DS9 being that way, because there were horrible episodes of Deep Space Nine before they decided to not.
There were some awful episodes of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, you've gone through If Wishes Were Horses in the Game. Alan Moraine and 3 more.
Oh, God. It's so bad.
Did you make it to, was it Beyond the Stars? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
That's a good one, but that's out in 7th season.
Oh, so you're not there yet, are you, Chelsea?
No, I'm still I'm in like the 5th or 6th season. Let me see.
You're coming up on Trials and Tribulations, though. That one's a good one.
Yeah, that's fun.
And at the end, you've gone through Sanctuary 1 and 2, haven't you?
Maybe.
With the Sanctuary districts?
Maybe. Hang on.
That one's the one that makes everybody go, because that one takes place in 2024. And everything that's happening in that episode, we're rolling up on.
What's the last time you watched, Chelsea?
I actually no. I'm in season 3.
Oh, you haven't gotten to Sanctuary yet.
Okay.
Kira being a Cardassian.
Oh, that one's a good one.
Which was a good episode. It was freaking good. It was good. I was like, Kira, you hold tight. It's going to be okay. I don't know how, but it's going to be okay. And it was okay. And it was like.
Yeah, you're a ways away. It's number 13 in season 6. It's called Far Beyond the Stars. My philosophy teacher actually had given that, the whole class was supposed to watch that as a homework assignment, because it's a great question as to what's real and what isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a fantastic episode on its own.
So Erica is saying when you watch the Orville, you can tell he's a big Trek fan. If you go out on YouTube and look up Seth MacFarlane's Trek fan film, he made a Trek fan film on VHS in the 80s with him being the Captain Kirk character.
He's a big nerd.
Oh, he isn't. And he is a Trekkie. He actually, Measure of a Man's a good one. He actually showed up in Enterprise and got yelled at by Tucker. Yep. He was in Enterprise. He got yelled at by Tucker in engineering. So there's that.
Hashtag life goals.
Right? Well, I mean, if you're a Trekkie.
If you're a Trekkie, yes.
Industry and you're a Trekkie, you're like, hey, think you guys could put me in Star Trek? You know.
Well, you could have gotten yelled at by Trip because you interviewed him.
Yeah, I did. Okay, guys. We are 5 minutes over our 1 hour.
Take that. Rewind it back.
Well, I kind of wanted to go a little longer because it looks like Erica just joined us. So I wanted to kind of at least engage with her a little bit.
Do I know this, Erica?
I don't know.
I know this, Erica.
Oh.
Hi, Erica.
Hi, Erica. I don't know if I know you or not.
We don't know you, but we like you and we're glad you're here.
Yeah.
So
That's my purse. I don't know you.
Don't listen to
here.
So bad. There it goes.
Okay, guys. Next week we've got Star Trek, don't we? We've got Adventures, you and me.
Yeah, we are back to Star Trek Adventures. I've got a new intro for you guys and hope you enjoy it. It's still going to run on Discord so I can get the intro in. So just stick with us if we have some technical difficulties because I haven't run that show in a little bit. But it should be really fun. We've got some crazy adventures. We'll probably start around 7 o'clock, just a little bit earlier. So
I rebuilt Tessara, so I actually used the rule books this time. So she actually makes sense, and her character sheet's actually like right. And you'll have to get the new character sheets.
I need a copy. Yeah, I need a JPEG copy so I can pop it up on screen.
Shout out from Emily.
Yay.
Hey.
Okay. Okay, well then, that's all the time we've got for today. Until next week, I've been Guy.
I've been Troy.
I've been Chelsea.
I've been Emily.
And this was Geek Tank.